You're listening to From a Certain Point of Skew. This is the only Star Wars podcast that talks Star Wars, believe it or not.
Who knew?
Exclusively. You found us, stay with us. Tell your friends who watch, listen, or play with their Star Wars toys to listen to FactPut. I'm Jason the Angry Ginger Jedi Guy, broadcasting live from Wookiee Poo Studios on the Skype lines across the world, but seriously, just in Portland is Darth Matthews.
Merry Christmas. I hope you had a good holiday.
Merry Christmas. Yeah. I got Neel.
You did?
Yeah. Like the live version of him. Eat your heart out, ladies.
Well, I'll just get right into it. If you'd like to find our show, from a certain point of skew.com, you can find us on Twitter, Threads, and Blue Sky at FactPod, and you can email us factpod@gmail.com. We got one email this week.
Yes.
No voicemails recently. We'd like another one. Ro sent us one, I guess, sort of recently. You can leave us a voicemail at 678-322-7277.
Hey, which one of our socials are kind of seem to be the most busiest?
I would say Twitter remains probably the busiest, but Blue Sky gets quite a bit of action. Threads is kind of hit and miss.
Okay.
I mean, we don't have as many followers on Threads, and I think
it's the newest one, right? You did Threads last?
Threads,
or did you do Blue Sky?
Well, that's a good point. Threads is probably newer than Blue Sky, but I set them up a while ago.
Mm-hmm.
But the thing is that I think when the Exodus happened a couple months ago or whatever, most people went to Blue Sky. Because back in the day, Blue Sky used to be that invite-only thing, and now everybody can get an account. So I think maybe that opened the doors a little bit.
Yeah.
And it also, I think Blue Sky feels the most like Twitter. It's very, very Twitter-esque.
Wasn't it created by him, Dorsey? Right? Did we talk about that?
I can't remember now. I think you might be right, but Threads is via Meta, and all that shit. So it's a little bit different. I don't like the UI as much with Threads.
Yeah, I looked at that before. I didn't care for it either. But when you talked about the mass exodus, and it cracks me up because every person I've ever seen saying they're leaving, they're gone maybe a week and they come back because whether you hate what's happening or you see, or you got to learn to ignore it because there's so much more communication back and forth. With you've built your audience, you've been on there for years. So how do you leave that? Like and just the addiction alone, the dopamine dumps you're getting. Like I can't imagine, like I can't leave Twitter. I don't talk about leaving Twitter, but I know I'd be like, like a crack fiend.
Blue Sky has in that first surge, a lot of people jumped in, and I feel like it gets a decent amount of play.
Yeah.
Like I said, I think to you before in the show, it's a pared down version of sorts to Twitter in the sense that we don't have as many followers and all that kind of stuff, but because of that, you don't get all the junk. I don't feel like I see any of the shit that I see on Twitter that I'm like constantly having to sift through. For
Star Wars, you're saying like the Star Wars hate?
Everything.
Oh, okay.
I mean, ads and fucking promoted tweets and all these different things that pop up. And do you want to upgrade over and over and over again? Like all that stuff, you don't get that with Blue Sky. It's a little bit cleaner. So I do kind of enjoy Blue Sky.
Okay.
But I'm still on Twitter. We're still there.
We're there, and we'd like for you to not only listen, but, communicate with us.
We will meet you where you are.
Sure. But we're not bringing Neel. Neel stays here.
Oh, God.
I got Grogu and Neel.
Is he back there? I don't see him.
Oh, no, Neil's on the seat. He's co-piloting right now.
Okay, all right.
Yeah, he's pushing buttons. On the show today, without Neel, but we got a secret Santa for Neel for the question of the week. In the news, we've got quite a bit here. We've got a live action series in development. Andor was not cheap, but I want to break that down a little bit when we get to that. And you probably already did, actually. Mando Season 4 might still happen. Bad Batch novel coming in August. And then we're going to talk Skeleton Crew Episode 5. You have a lot to learn about pirates. And then one email, like you said, in the Maul Bag.
Question of the week. It's I said it's secret. Oh my God, I can't talk. It's Secret Santa time. Blah, 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 blah. 20 dwarves took turns doing handstands on the carpet. Okay, sorry.
Rescue on Ryloth.
There it is. It's Secret Santa time, and you pulled Neel's name. What are you getting for the little fella?
Oh.
So Brown Leader. I love it because Brown Leader is so supportive of the show from Hyperspace Heroes that he responds to us on all the different feeds. So he gets us one on Threads, one on Blue Sky, one on Twitter. He says, first one up, a new slap ball set.
He would like that.
I'd still like to know how that game works. Because it almost looked like they were doing it with their heads and stuff, too. I don't know.
I feel like that's like going to, like, how you can buy not Sarlacc, Sabacc. You can buy that now, like, and play the game. In a year or so, they'll put that out.
Are you petting Neel's head right now? What are you doing over there?
Good boy. I'm rubbing his bruised trunk.
Oh, man. Marty Griswold. That's a fun name. This is just like an 80s person. They got the
Right.
Marty McFly and the Clark Griswold. DVD of the Goonies. Makes sense. Alberto from Radio Rebellion says a hairbrush and some bubbles for his bath time. That's a good guess.
I do like the almost like bald comb over
Yeah.
their
that's
race
pretty
has.
funny.
Like you see the poster of the dad
Yes.
where he's like stern looking.
Oh, yeah. And
And
that's
he's
going
got
to
like
come.
that thinning hair on top.
That's going to come up in just a second. His dad. Brown Leader again says a trunk massager. Ooh, what would that look like?
Me, I'm doing it right now.
I was envisioning something more phallic, like you stick your trunk in it. And
Oh,
you know,
like those
Sorry.
machines in Japan where you can just stick your crank in
Yeah,
and it milks
right.
you.
Right.
Right. Okay.
Cam Ray says a mini piano with ivory keys made from his dad's tusks. I probably won't tell him why his dad couldn't make the Life Day party. Neil is extra sensitive. Dude, Neil's dad's alive.
Oh, also, Cameron usually doesn't come off that dark to me.
I know. That's why I wrote back to him a
Man.
little gif and said, that's pretty dark. Brian Hour chimes in, giving him a map home. What does that say? A map home. And a certain green girl's. Oh, I see.
Like a map to go home.
Gotcha. Giving him a map home. I was reading that really poorly. It's just, I'm not hungover this week. It should be sharper.
Should be better, yeah.
Giving him a map home and a certain green girl's contact info. Got to help a nerd out. Talking about Runa.
I don't know. After that girl did that sideways hip flip, I think that might be on his radar.
Hana is top of the list at the moment.
Right,
Runa's
right.
got some work to do. Brow Leader again says a swimsuit poster of Mon Mothma.
Oh, why does
Likes
Neil
to
get
take those
that?
jabs.
Oh, it's a jab. Okay.
Yeah, he likes to give you little.
Right.
It's you get the jabs from Mon Mothma, and Max Rebo gives me jabs about fucking tech dying. It's just
All the time.
constant. I think there's
Yep.
one coming. Speaking of Max Rebo, a Max Rebo band poster and matinee tickets to a show on a planet closest to At Attin, and a signed copy of the Cy Snoodles autobiography, Living to the Max.
Ooh.
Cy Snoodles, you got to watch out for her. She'll fucking murder you. She murdered Zero the Hutt after all.
Yes, that's right. And Clone Wars.
Yeah. Dirty. A Delphi Ranger says, I'd sit him down and explain the New Republic security forces are not anyone's goons. He is really stuck on that comment
He is.
they made a couple weeks ago.
He hasn't slept in 2 weeks.
And they are a force for good and peace in the galaxy. After the gift of knowledge, I'd tell him enlisting in the NRSF is a great way to pay for college. It's a GI Bill. Also, 2 drink tickets to the Adelphi base O Club. And he sent this little snippet of like the whole breakdown of Adelphi.
Hold on. They're children. They can't go to the O Club.
They probably can.
I was growing up.
Seems like there's loose rules out there when it comes to the Star Wars universe
True.
and children. I mean, they can fight in a war,
Right. Yeah.
But that's
Yeah.
that's the argument you can make for the drinking age to be 18.
Exactly.
I can fight in a war at 18. I can have a drink. Bullshit.
I agree.
Yeah. Finally, Ken Galactic says a trunk organizer. There you go. Lots of trunk comments.
Ha,
Thank
I
you,
get it.
everybody, for your answers. Appreciate it.
Thank you.
I really need to start tallying that giveaway contest because I haven't done it yet.
We haven't even said what we're giving, have we?
Well, we're giving away figures again.
Oh, that's right. The
from
ones that you had
series.
previously. Okay.
Yeah, I think they're supposed to come out. Can't remember if they're coming out in the spring or the summer. But anyway, regardless, you will win a character of your choice,
Ooh.
figure of your choice from
Okay.
Skeleton Crew. News, like you mentioned, a lot of items. We spoke recently about how we're facing a future where once Skeleton Crew is done, all we have is Andor Season 2 and Ahsoka Season 2. So that's a little bit sad. But in a recent interview, some guy called Alan Bergman, who's a bigwig at Disney, said, we're looking at a number of additional series that are in development. I mean,
Yes.
now granted, in development can mean any possible
Mhm.
stage. It could be somebody talking about it and concepting it,
Right.
not even writing it yet. We'll see what we decide to do. As I said earlier, they have to be great. And when we're in a position where we think we have what we want, we're going to move forward. Well, that's a bit ambiguous.
Yeah. It's also like he was given those lines to read. Like, memorize this.
Yeah.
They're just so stale. Like,
Here are your talking
there's
points.
not really. Well, of course we're working on a few things. You should know this, but
Right.
we're going to give you no further information, which means either they actually are or they forgot to actually get that far. So he's just using those lines and everyone's scrambling behind the scenes now. Shit, we've got nothing coming to Disney Plus.
Well, it's not like he's going to go out there and be like, nope, nothing.
Yeah, exactly.
Stay subscribed to Disney Plus.
Well, we had read, one of those scoopers that I read. I think I had sent you something quite a few months back where he had said, one of the things he saw was they were working on several things, but they haven't announced anything yet.
Yeah.
I think it was when they were talking about what's the animation series, the ones with the shorts. Yeah, Visions.
Okay.
There was and the Knights of the Republic, or what are the two that came out so far? The Jedi.
Tales of the Jedi,
and the other one. There was I guess they're working on a bunch of different
Tales of the
versions
Empire.
Yeah. So well, at least we have that. But this is just specifically live action.
Correct. And I was gonna say, if you were to guess, like, what do you think this means? Because we know we're gonna talk about Mando season 4 possibilities in a second. But like, what else would they be having in development, or is it something we don't know? We don't even know about yet. Like, is it Kenobi season 2? Is it Rangers of the New Republic kind of thing? Like, what else would they be?
I think there's still definitely Mando stuff to do. Well, I mean, we're going to go to it in a second. I'm not surprised by that either. That there's probably going to be another season of Mando. But I mean, if we're going to go to Ahsoka and it's only getting 2 seasons, I'm sure there's something they can spin out of that, right? Like, I think all of this stuff's going to keep going.
Right. I'm just wondering if there's stuff that we don't even know about, like stories that aren't necessarily a character that we're not currently focusing on, that they're going to, you know what I mean?
Yeah. In that Mando verse.
Well, potentially, yes. I mean, it seems like that's the safest place to go with live action right now. I mean, other than, it's kind of got to be that time frame. Andor has been successful critically, but
I would like to see, I know it's expensive as hell, and I hope at the end of the day that's not like seriously bothering Disney, because it's such an excellent show, and hopefully it gets more eyeballs on the second season, but I would like to see a spinoff of that somehow.
Yeah.
Outside, Who Lives.
Right. You just want to see a series with Bix.
Oh, yeah.
I could see a Kenobi season 2 happening, even though I really hope they don't bring Darth Vader back. I think that story's been told. I do think you could do more. And if Ewan wants to do it, then let's sign up Ewan to do it. Even if it's a movie, they could do a movie. That might be the better way to go. I don't know. But I'd like to see them do something more with Ewan one more time anyway. And I was thinking about the whole Rangers of the New Republic, deal. And then there was the Rogue Squadron movie. Can we combine those? Can we make one X-Wing style show? I mean, maybe it'd be better on the big screen since you're doing a lot of space shit. But, with the volume, you can obviously do a lot. I feel like you could combine those two somehow into a story. Because I think... go ahead.
I was just gonna say, I think they're really figuring it out. Like they're finding that happy medium with sets and volume, right? Because Skeleton Crew, there's just a couple of them. Like there's the one is the second episode where they're in the ravine and Wim kind of runs 4 feet away, and then he runs like 4 feet toward the camera and then like side shifts. I'm like, okay, well we know you're pretty close to the wall there, buddy. Right. But I mean, there's shots in this newest episode, like you can't tell where the stage ends and the screen begins.
And I think the less you're aware of it, the better it is. Like, there were times in the second episode where they're on Port Borgo where I'm like, I know this has to be the volume.
Right.
So you're kind of looking at the background going like, that's got to be a screen, But if you don't think about it, if you get out of your head and just fucking enjoy the show, it's not noticeable at all. Yep. Kenobi was different. We talked about that before. Kenobi felt...
It did.
Like it was enclosed.
Yep.
So it didn't really work quite as well. He also said, regarding past and current series, first he's talking about The Acolyte. He says, we were happy with our performance, but it wasn't where we needed it to be given the cost structure of that title, quite frankly, to go and make a season 2. So that's the reason why we didn't do that. Okay. Because you spent $200 million on it and it didn't do well.
It's so ridiculous. And then the same week it's announced what Andor cost.
Right. Let's shelve that for just 1 second. The other thing they did say is Skeleton Crew is in the process now, so we'll see. We've seen some growth on that. I'm not sure what he means by that, other than it's doing better with reviews in the audience. I don't know if the numbers are almost better.
Yeah.
We'll see how that goes. As you said, the reviews have been excellent on Skeleton Crew, so we'll have to see how that all plays out as it moves forward. So sounds like a season 2 is on the table, but it just depends on how.
I hope it gets done. Like more and more every week, I'm enjoying the show, and I was in it at the beginning, but like this new episode, by far my favorite. I think they got the characters down. They nailed it. There was some laugh out loud moments.
Yeah, there were.
The intrigue is fun, and to go back to The Acolyte, I think there's a series there for a second show. I think.
Oh, of course.
There's the characters are interesting. They left us in a good spot. We've talked about like some of the angle or the writing or the way they did the mystery didn't work that well. But those characters are interesting. I want more of that. Yeah,
I don't know what. There's so many ways. I mean, I think we've broken it down quite a bit too. But there were certain things that they tried to do with Acolyte that just didn't quite work. But the concepts were good. They had a lot of good characters, a lot of good actors.
Mm-hmm.
So there's certainly something more you could do. I think kind of lessons learned from season 1, things you could do to make season 2 even better.
Right.
So yes, Andor. Oh my God. So let's just take a moment and give it up for Tony Gilroy, who managed to squeeze a cool $650 million out of Disney to make 2 seasons of Andor. And that might still
be
go
marketing.
up.
That's got to be everything, right?
I mean, sure, but that's a fucking lot of money. Now, granted, there's 12 episodes and they're long and they're beautifully shot and all that, but
so it's $27 million an episode.
Is that what it is?
Yep.
Fuck.
24 episodes, right?
Yeah, that's insane.
That's still a lot.
You could make like 4 Goonies for that.
But the problem with this is like in streaming, they have to put so much more money up front because there's no back end deals to make. You know, like these shows are exclusive. They're not going to another network. There's never going to be syndication or anything like that. So any of these big actors they do bring in, they have to pay an absorbent amount of money up front because there's never going to be any kind of residual fees later on. So that's where a lot of the money is.
And people don't buy DVDs anymore, so you can't, you can't get a bunch of money there.
Yeah.
Oh, I just thought that was a crazy number. The difference between like Skeleton Crew and Andor versus the Acolyte, obviously being in the reviews section of things, but the numbers, it's almost like, did he make Bob Iger and Kathleen Kennedy sign a blood oath when Tony Gilroy, when he signed up to do this? Like, we're doing a season 2. He's doing the Jedi trick. We will do it.
Yeah, like how do you get that locked in? Right.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, there had to have been something where they went back to the table, right? Because I believe that there was probably some truth to Gilroy being like, I can't do this for the next 5 years.
Yes.
Like 4 more seasons of it, you know? So Disney was probably like, okay, you can keep the money. Let's contain this and make another season instead of 4 more where the viewership wasn't there.
Oh, so you think it's like, this is how much money you have, and they went, great, well, instead of 5 seasons for $650 million, we'll do 2.
No, I think this is how much it cost, and it would have cost
that much more.
Yeah, over twice the amount if they did 3 more seasons.
He's like, hey, I'm saving you money because I'm wrapping this shit up in 2 years.
Yeah. But I wanted to, so if we do 27 million, let's say, it was 27 point something, we'll just do 27 million. And what was the Acolyte? Was it 8 or 10 episodes?
The Acolyte was 8 episodes, and it was 180. Is that right?
Well, yeah, so it was cheaper. It would have been 216 million if they would have had the same budget per episode. And realistically, they couldn't have, because the Acolyte did shoot some live stuff, but there was a lot of volume stuff, right? Where Andor is almost completely.
Well, they built the entire city of
all of Coruscant.
Yes, all of Coruscant. Can you believe it? I hope they kept that set.
Right.
I'm going to use it a lot in the future. Yeah. No, but Ferrix was all built. Like they built that fucking city, you know?
Mm-hmm.
So, man, and I'm assuming, well, I mean, that Ferrix is done. You would assume they're not going to really probably go back to Ferrix at this point. So it's like they probably scrapped that and built some new stuff. And the fact that you're going a year ahead every 3 episodes,
right,
means that you're probably in totally different places. So there's probably a lot of set work being done there. No wonder it costs so much goddamn money. But I'm excited. Can't fucking wait. What are we at? Less than 4 months?
Yes.
Less than 4 months.
Did you see my tweet? Now maybe
I see all
something.
your tweets, Jay. I see all your tweets. I see all your tweets.
Maybe I missed something, or because there's enough Star Wars, I tend to confuse shit sometimes. But
sure,
there's been talk of like Orson Krennic's in it, and possibly
Gale or so.
Yeah,
Galen or so.
If you're gonna have Krennic, you have to have Vader.
Oh, I think Vader might show up. I think there's a chance you see Vader.
Okay, but we've never heard anything about that.
No, I think they're saving that as a fun.
Okay.
And I don't think they're going to use him a lot. I think he's going to show up maybe 1 episode max and be there for 2 minutes and be done. It might be like almost a...
I could see him more than once if we're hopping every year.
Maybe.
I think you're going to see him maybe briefly, like in the... Let's say, what is it? There's 4 arcs. So in the second arc, third arc, maybe you'll see a little bit of him. I think in the last 3, I mean, because then we're almost to Death Star. We've got, Krennic is starting to fucking
it makes
bash
sense
heads
for
with
him. It makes sense for him to be around. I'm just saying, I think they like to use him sparingly, and I think they will again. I mean, it reminds me a lot of the video games that have come out lately. Like all of a sudden out of nowhere, Vader shows up, and you're like, fuck, but they just very, very short, and then that's it. Like just enough to get the impact. What's the joke about A New Hope? He's in like 9 minutes of it or something stupid.
Right. Yeah.
It's he's not in it very much. You feel like he is, but he's not.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, Mando season 4. So you shared this tidbit with me. I think it was yesterday. That dude, is it Jeff Schneider? Jeff, right?
Yeah.
So he had shared this rumor that not only is Mando season 4 gonna happen, but it might already be in production. Again, at what stage, who knows? But he also said that season 4 would go after the Mando Grogu film, which of course makes sense because that's well underway. What's your sniff test on this? Are you buying that? You think they're going to do a season 4? You do?
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
I mean, it's their biggest hit, right?
Mm-hmm.
And they don't need much of Pedro.
It built the fucking streaming service.
Right. And why not? Like, why not tag along on the film then? And if you have a whole season worth of goods, you're not containing that all into a 2-hour movie.
No, but you do have crossover stuff that bleeds into Ahsoka season 2 and then the Filoni film later. I mean, that's the thing I was thinking about is I was like, there's plenty to do here after you wrap up this movie. But because you have Ahsoka season 2, the Filoni movie, and now you're going to do a 4-season of Mando, it's like, where's the whiteboard that's keeping all these fucking storylines straight? Because they're all kind of intermingling.
I mean, what do you do though? You end it with the Mando movie, like, because then it's just Filoni and Favreau's not doing anything unless he goes back to Boba Fett, right?
Well, I think Favreau would still be involved in the Filoni movie, but you're right, it wouldn't be his.
Right. So I see them like we need to hold on to this guy if he's got ideas. And why not, like the 3rd season ended at a great spot where they could do like a one-off movie mission and then something at the end is and we thought it would go into the next films, but it could do both, right? It sets up enough to where it puts Mando and Grogu on something that they can go do until the next film. Because if the next film won't be for 2 or 3 years, then keep the series running. Especially if Ahsoka's only doing one more season. In
the movie or in the potential season 4, which one will they address the death of Beef Karga?
Movie.
Yeah. They got to give him some sort of love. There's got to be some sort of deal with that. I'm still sad that we lost him. I mean, go ahead. Do it.
Yeah.
I'm all for it.
What if they separate them? Like at the end of the Mandalorian and Grogu movie, they're separated, so now there'll be a Mandalorian season 4 and Grogu season 1.
But in Ahsoka season 2, you see them reunite already.
Yeah, but they reunite in the second to last episode, all on Tatooine at Boba Fett's place.
Bring them all together.
Yep.
I still think we'll see Boba Fett again somehow. They got to work him in there. All right, and finally, we were talking lately about how we both struggle with. Or have struggled with trying to get into like the High Republic series of books. And I think a lot of it has to do with, I think we talked about this, just not being familiar with the characters. It's when you're reading in the Aftermath books, the characters, or when you're reading books that are kind of in the timeline of Rebels or whatever, all these characters. So there's something familiar, even if the story is kind of an offshoot of that.
What are you reading right now? Did you finish the Aftermath books?
I never finished the 3rd one. And so it's still sitting.
Because that's the one you were reading with the kids, right?
No. That one I started reading the High Republic one with the kids, and then I also read the From a Certain Point of View books with my younger son. The Aftermath books, I read 1 and 2. I kind of breezed through those, and the 3rd one I got like halfway through, and maybe I'm not as regular as I used to be because I'm not sitting down in the shitter to read it as much as I used to.
Oh, that's where you go. Okay,
but I haven't finished it yet, and I do have a couple other books. I've got I've got that one about Hera and Kanan, whatever that's called.
Yep.
I can't remember what that's called. I got that one. And there's another one I have that I haven't read yet. But like this one might get on my list too. And this one is The Bad Batch. So I guess it's supposed to come out in August. And again, we know these characters so well. So it'd be really
We're going to be starving for content. I think we should do.
We should get into the books.
Yeah.
This book that's coming out is supposed to be called Bad Batch Sanctuary, which, by the way, when I heard that title, I thought, wasn't that the title of one of the episodes in season 3? It wasn't. I thought for some reason it was. I don't know why. Right. This is going to be, or it is being written by Lamar Giles, who did a story for the Return of the Jedi version of From a Certain Point of View. I've only got like 2 stories into that book, so I haven't got that deep into it yet. I haven't gotten his story. There's no other details. You would assume maybe that if it's Sanctuary, they're going to be something from them being on Pabu, perhaps.
Right.
That's where they always obviously end up. But then is it going to be post season 3, like after Omega's grown up and is going off on her adventures? Is it before that as she's growing up and they're all living there post, the main action of season 3? I don't know.
I would guess that it's going to be post the events that happen in the series, but before she meets Papa Knife Daddy in the cave and leaves for, she's going to I got to be an adult, Dad.
Right.
Right.
I gotta go do my own thing. Yeah. I could see that. There's a lot you could do there because there's a lot of stuff that surely happened over that time.
Right. I don't think they're going to do, if we see anything happen once she leaves, like, I think that's going to be its own thing, which I cannot believe they've not announced another animated show yet.
It's kind of weird, but the thing is, they always do this. They drop it the last second and they're like, it's coming out in 2 months. And you're like, well, okay.
They've got to be waiting for April, right? Is that the celebrations April?
Yeah. I would think we should get something then. Yeah. Because otherwise, all we have is Visions this year. You would think there's got to be another animated project coming. That shit just takes so long to make. So it's not like you just whip one up, but at the same time, I feel like they're always working on them. One last thing on the book front. Have you ever read the novelization of the movies that they do?
No.
I haven't either. And I've always heard people talk about them, and I think they're meant to be canon. I think I think I might dive into those a little bit because they give you a lot more context to some of the stuff that you see on the screen, and I think that's kind of useful.
Like, you're talking starting with A New Hope, and then going to the prequels, and then I think I did read episode 1 actually years ago, like when it came out. But and then the new sequel trilogy.
Yes, exactly.
Go through all of those?
I think it gives you a lot more information about what's going on, and answers some questions you kind of have, or fills in some gaps. Certainly where you're like, hey, well, why did that silly little scene happen for 30 seconds and that was it? That was weird. And they're like, oh, well, no, you got a full chapter on what the hell was going on there.
Well, they got the 5 or 6 issue Rise of Skywalker that's finally coming out. I guess they canceled it halfway through, and then now it's coming out with a different artist. And I think the 2nd or 3rd issue is out. And there's supposed to be a few things in there, I think, that weren't in the films.
Yeah. So, I mean, if it's all aligned with the story, I just think that would be cool. It enhances the movies. It might give you more appreciation for them. You know what I mean? Yeah. Not that I need more appreciation for the original trilogy, but sure, might as well. Let's get some more info about Tashi Station, shall we?
I think you need to read the Heir to the Empire books too.
I do. Wait.
The Thrawn trilogy, the original Thrawn trilogy.
Have I read? I guess I haven't read that. You're right. I probably do need to read that. Have I? No, wait. I've read that. Have I not read that? Hold on.
It's with Mara Jade.
Oh yeah, no, I've read that.
Okay.
Yes. In fact, now I'm trying to think if that's the one I'm on.
That's
what it is. You figured it out. You cracked the code.
Okay.
I finished the Aftermath series. I haven't finished the Heir to the Empire series. That's what it is. I'm halfway through the last book of the Heir to the Empire series. Okay. God damn it, I can't keep it straight. I should just sit down and read, and then I wouldn't have this problem.
Yeah.
So, yeah. All right. Skeleton Crew, episode 5. You have a lot to learn about pirates. I swear to God, Disney and Lucasfilm are either listening to every episode, podcast episode the Ithorian historian is in, or he's got some direct line and should be like an executive producer or something, because they are fucking throwing Ithorians at us everywhere they can.
It's almost like they double the amount every episode.
It's incredible.
Yeah.
I was going to make a comment when I brought this up to say, but they weren't at the spa. Oh no, they were at the spa.
Yep, they were. There's 2 of them I think I saw in the waters. Everywhere. The waters of Lake Minnetonka.
Yeah, exactly. Purifying their bodies. Oh, it's just incredible. I know he's appreciative of it because whenever he sees one show up, he goes nuts.
The Ithorians are starting to get this way, and the Muns, right? The banking clan. What a bougie bunch of bitches.
A lot of Muns in this one. Yeah, that's for sure. Oh my God, towels in their head and shit. Yep. Like they're at the fucking so funny. So we open on at a cube farm on At Attin. where there's an Ithorian sharing like back-to-back cube with our guy Wendell. He's working on spreadsheets. Respect.
Oh, yeah. Respect.
And Wendell is looking so jumpy, as is the case with all these things. And the music, by the way.
The music was great.
It was like horror music or something. Yes. Like a build up to a horror scene.
Yeah, it felt like a suspense thriller.
Yeah. It was like strings being plucked, like ding, ding, ding.
Also, like, where Wim gets like his klutziness from, right? Like there was a bit of like, you could see it in the father.
Oh, yeah.
And maybe that was just because he was so uncomfortable and didn't know what he was doing. I think I'm way off on Dad having a particular set of skills. He's very awkward. Mm-hmm. Yeah. He's pretty good typer. Unless he's pulling the whole Clark Kent thing.
It could
when the glasses are on,
throwing off the
full
scent.
Geek. Yeah.
Yep. Could be. Just wait till you get him in the sheets. Hey-oh. Mm-hmm. He spots Numa coming off the elevator, and that's Neel's mom. Mm-hmm. And she explained to him how they need the barrier access code, and he's gonna have to steal it. You can just see the look on his face, like, I gotta do what?
Yeah. Which is interesting because they've sort of become pirates now.
Right, exactly. They're becoming their own pirates in their own little world. Yeah.
Hackers.
Office pirates.
Yeah.
She gives him some little device to plug into the system and help him get it. So he goes back, plugs it in. Apparently this causes some sort of energy surge because now the robot's like, what the fuck's going on over there?
Fucking who's plugged into Windows Zune?
Because at first, yeah, right. Because at first, when he looks over, I'm like, stop making yourself look so goddamn suspicious. But it was apparently the surge that caused the thing to come over. And then he's like, I need to check your terminal. And then he's hiding the thing behind his back. Not slick at all.
It was like a mom. Let me see what's behind your hands.
Well, right. And then he shows the one, and then he shows the other. I was like, it's like a fish called Wanda. Put your hands up.
I was waiting for him to tuck it in between his butt cheeks.
Right. Well, and that's what my son was like, doesn't he have pockets?
Right, yeah.
Because I feel like he did, but no, had to get caught. So luckily for him, the droid reports to Farah.
Right.
And she's just like, what did she say? Like memory wipe and shut down.
Which was kind of interesting because I wouldn't think that if the bots were in charge, how does she have that authority to shut him down? Yeah.
Maybe she just has authority over a certain level of droid.
Right.
So those are the ones that they give her enough power there. They trust
to let her
that
think
much.
that she is in power. Right.
Or that too. Yeah, right. So she's telling Wendell, like, you got to wait. I'm going through the proper channels. He's like, yeah? How's that going?
Do you get the like, it seemed a little bit awkward with Numa and Wendell, but there seemed to be more, at least to me,
familiarity
between, what's her name?
Farah,
yeah, and Wendell.
Yeah, I think you're right. Which is odd because I guess they work together, so that's why. But I was thinking it's a little odd too, though, because Wim and Neel are homies, so you'd think he'd be quite familiar with Numa.
Right, but he's like, he's almost telling his boss what needs to happen.
Yeah, he is. He feels comfortable enough to do that.
Right.
So yeah, he's like the supervisor's not going to help us. Like these are, by the way, these are our fucking kids. Like we need to kick it in the ass here.
Right.
We can't just sit around and play by the rules. We need to go get it done. These are our children. I was going to ask you this: is this 2 straight episodes, or did they do it in 3 and 5? I can't remember. Where they just give us this one scene with the parents, and then that's it. They cut away to the kids the rest of the time.
It was 4 and 5.
How do you feel about that? Because is it just enough to give us a taste and that's fine? Or are they not really doing that much? There's not much to show? Or is it more like we don't want to lose the momentum of what the kids have going on because that's the adventure?
I think it's both. I think they don't want to lose the momentum, but I think they're keeping the parents in play because it all comes back to At Attin. And I think there's an importance. To me, we'll get to it later, but I still think one of these parents or somebody is tied to the pirate ship.
Somebody's tied to the pirate ship.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. I think I wrote down your there was a prediction you made too at some point that I think I wrote down somewhere. So we'll get to that. Okay. So back to the crew, Jod and the kids, they decide to turn SM-33 back on, but they're thinking ahead because they've tied him down with some weak ropes.
Right.
Like that's going to work. Eventually KB turns him on. Fern says, you need to turn him on. KB's like, what?
After Jod won't do it.
Exactly. You're scared. Okay, make KB do it.
Yeah.
So she turns him on, and the 33 reassures the kids. He won't attack them because those were his old captain's orders. There was a comment, too, about KB redoing something with his memory, and so maybe that took that bit out, so he was more in tune with the order of today. And he mentions that his old captain Tack Renaud, and Jod fucking goes nuts.
Right.
Renaud? Tack Renaud? And also, this is, I guess, the first mention of the Onyx Cinder. I thought we had heard that before, but I guess we had not heard.
No, I don't think they ever said the name of the ship, but he knew the name of the ship immediately when he knew the captain's name. So he knows like all the legends and lore of this captain.
Right, and then he starts telling these tales of Captain Renaud and how he terrorized the galaxy, taking whatever he wanted, and he was after the treasure of At Attin when he and the ship disappeared. It's a scene we've seen before. It's like somebody getting real into it and telling the story of this legend.
Yes.
Kids could not give 2 fucks about this. They're like, great. So anyway,
he's almost acting like Wim with the Jedi.
He is, you mean? Jod, you mean?
Yes.
Yes, he is. Like it's his Jedi.
Right.
It's his excitement.
He's excited. Yes, exactly.
Yeah, right.
This is a world he's familiar with. He knows all the myths and legends, and he wants to tell the story.
Those are his aspirations.
Right.
Yeah, for sure. So when they press 33 on where At Attin is, he says Captain Renaud kept the coordinates in his lair beneath Skull Ridge Mountain, which just sounds like a fucking roller coaster ride.
Epic name. Yeah, actually it does. You're right.
That's the next ride.
Mm-hmm.
Galaxy's Edge. They tell 33 to take them to Skull Ridge Mountain. And during the journey, he shares a lot more tales about Renaud and what happened when his crew tried to challenge the captain because they wanted the treasure for themselves and all this stuff we've heard in pirate stories before.
Right.
He says Renaud's concubine, more on that in a minute, betrays him and stabs him with his own dagger, but the captain locks out the controls and the ship and the whole crew die when they crash on At Attin. Yes. And that's when I think it's Fern who says, "What's a concubine?" And John's like, never mind. I love that line. When he first says concubine, I thought, are they going to circle back on that?
It reminded me of when we were in, was it the first Spider-Man movie, Spider-Man Homecoming, and he gets caught and he wants to be the man in the chair. Yes. You know, his buddy, and then the teacher comes in. What are you doing? He's like, I was looking at porn. And we had taken our kids, and little Cole turns around in his seat and looks at us, and it gets quiet right after that. All you hear is, "Dad, what's porn?" Like throughout the whole theater, and the fucking theater blew up laughing. It's fucking hilarious. He goes, "Shh, just sit down, shut up. I'll tell you later."
I'll show you later.
Yeah.
I would have been even better if he said, "Is that stuff you're always looking at on your phone?"
Right.
No, son.
Yeah. That's that hub you always go to, Father.
Is that what Brazzers is, Dad? Shut up. We can speculate more on this, I guess, at the end too. But for now, are we meant to believe? I mean, I think everybody still has the thought that the captain has survived and is the supervisor, or at least was the supervisor at one point. But then I thought, well, is that the captain that's got the knife through him on the fucking ship? Because he's in the captain's quarters.
The concubine.
Right. Oh, you think the concubine is the supervisor now?
Well, I think the concubine survived.
You do.
And maybe, no, what was the story? Was his concubine and someone else?
I think it was first it was his first mate went nuts and wanted to fucking get the treasure.
Right.
But then the concubine is the one that stabbed him with his own dagger.
But he didn't kill his first mate.
I thought he did. Maybe they didn't.
Okay, that's
say
what
that.
I'm asking. Because
I don't know
that leads me to think that Wendell and Fern are the two of them.
Oh, is that your theory?
I don't know yet. I'm playing with it.
You mean not Fern, you mean Farrah. Farrah was the concubine,
yes.
And Wendell was the first mate.
Yes.
Interesting theory. Now that would be something else.
Or, well, I'm trying to put this together because Wendell's wife is dead.
Well, yes. Oh,
or
okay.
is she?
Right.
Or so like, is there like the concubine was also the first mate's lover? And they had a kid?
I think it's just the captain's. Do you share a concubine?
Well, as long as the captain doesn't know.
I wouldn't want to share the concubine.
No.
I think we're going to find out why the mom died at some point.
Yes, I agree.
Or if she did. But I think something happened that caused that she died. I mean, he's still wearing that wedding ring. He's still honoring her. So we have to get some sort of, I would think, resolution on that.
So maybe she's the supervisor.
That would be fucking interesting.
Yeah. Yeah, just before she got promoted, Wendell and her hooked up. And then she's like, "I'm the boss now. I can't be with you." HR says no.
HR says one of you is either leaving or we have to figure something out. Yeah, I don't know. There's a lot of mystery there. But it just made me think when they mentioned the thing about them stabbing the captain, my mind immediately went to when Jod pulls that blade out.
But also, like, how do they know that story? Because if he knows the story,
how did the story get out?
Right. So
somebody had to survive.
So he was there. Also,
SM-33 was there.
Yes, but if you look at the hologram, because I was looking at it and I went back and I was looking at it, and you can't make out a face. The hat is there, right?
Pretty sure it's Rob Zombie.
There you go. But also the pattern on the collar of Jod's coat looks like the same thing you can sort of see like on the shoulder area of the hologram.
So okay, but didn't he steal his stuff from his clothes?
Oh,
maybe
that's right.
Maybe.
So that would have been him. Okay.
I don't know. There's a lot of different directions you could go off and make your theory, and it's like, sure, that sounds right. Yeah. You know what I mean?
I'm just trying to throw it all out there.
I know. I agree. It's weird that they obscured his face, and we'll get into that in a minute. I'm sure there's a couple good reasons why, but and also just made me think in general, because it's kind of funny to think that Jod's running around with the captain's blade that killed him, if that was the case,
right? That
he's using constantly. So 33 goes on to say that the lair on Skull Ridge Mountain is where he was assembled. It's his home. And it's below a lone mountain where bubbling pits of mud hide mangled corpses of the captain's foes. And that made me think, so are there fucking corpses beneath these people that are taking these baths? They don't even know
they're devouring slowly like a Sarlacc pit in the mud.
I think so.
Oh, gross.
Well, it's that, or whenever those people that set up the spot came in, they cleaned all that shit out. They got rid of all the bodies. I would
Put a couple of rubber tires and a rope in there and clean the swamp out.
Right. Because otherwise you think somebody would like step on somebody's head or something at some point.
Yeah.
So while all this chatter is going on, you can see that Wim is just looking very dejected, and he wanders off to look at his little story pad and have a good cry.
Mm-hmm.
And the reaction of John when he walks in and sees that he's crying, he goes, "Oh." I just love that reaction. He can't
get out of there fast enough.
He is so like, so you probably just want to be alone or something, right? He's so disgusted. So Wim explains how, the adventure's not what he thought it was going to be. It's not, it's not this like story that he read about. It's scarier, it's messier. And then he says he misses his parents, and John's like, "Oh, dude, it's fine, man. Well, you'll see him again." And he's like, "I'm just going to leave now." And then that's when he goes,
"We're good, right?
I won't see my mom." So Wim drops the dead mom thing, like you and I always do.
Yep.
He drops the dead mom thing. John sits down and tells him, "Okay, you just gotta, you know what you do? You just avoid attachments and everything's fine. That's what I do." Okay, that's Jedi shit.
It is.
So, and then he goes a step further.
There seems to be like a double meaning, because he definitely is taking it to, because he uses a different name all the time.
Right.
He has no attachments to anybody. So I think he's taking it serious that way, but definitely, well, because that goes back to being a Jedi, but also what is the phrasing he uses? He says the same thing Qui-Gon says.
He does. He says a straight rip from Qui-Gon. He says, where is it? I had it written down.
Focus is the...
He says, your focus is your reality.
Yes.
Which is exactly what Qui-Gon says to little Anakin. So, because he's like, and I mean, he's not just saying forget your parents, forget all these people you're attached to. He's also saying forget your fears. He's like really trying to like basically say, and then I think he says something about like create the life you want to live, like do the life you want to live, kind of thing. So it's a little inspiring, but also like, so just out for yourself. Who gives a fuck about everybody else? Kind of not the greatest attitude, but again, it's got that Jedi vibe to it.
Mm-hmm.
And that's also when he does the little trick with his hands, with his fingers, and pulls the data pad up and drops it in Wim's lap. And Wim is like, "I thought you weren't a Jedi. How'd you do that?" And he just goes, doesn't give him an answer, and walks off. This is the first time where I thought, is the thought that people had before about the whole magnets thing and all that kind of stuff, is it a trick? Is it not the Force? Because then I was thinking, does he always have like his fucking gloves on? Does he always have something when he's, and it's everything he pulls is metallic. Right. So I started thinking about all that stuff. But when he grabs the key in the first episode or the second episode, he doesn't have his gloves on.
Right.
I mean, he could still have something in his hand, whatever. Mm-hmm. But it was the first time I actually thought, well, maybe there is something to this whole magnet thing, because he's pulling metallic things all the time.
I would be surprised if he at the very least, he's Force sensitive.
I think so. Too. It was the first time I thought for a second, well, there is some credence to this theory that maybe it's just tricks.
Yeah, and the fact that, I mean, whether he was ever a Padawan or trained a little bit or something, the fact that he can get away with, well, I never called myself a Jedi, because he never made that title.
No, I agree with that. And I think that's what it'll end up being.
Right.
It's just the first time I thought differently, where I thought, I could see where you could be doing some tricks here just to make it work. Uh-huh. But he does it a lot.
Yes.
So they arrive at the planet. It doesn't seem to fit 33's description. There's pleasure yachts flying around. And then they get this little friendly escort by the local authorities, who welcome them to Lanupa. Sorry.
Lanupa.
And they say, and I love this, it's a neutral planet where all are welcome. If they keep the peace, violators will be shot down. It's kind of the same threat, but a softer tone to what like the ships in the Cloud City did to the Falcon when it flew in. It's kind of the similar vibe. Jod lies about them having a reservation. The escort hears that there's kids aboard and then says, just so you know, this is an adults only facility. Yeah. That made me laugh. It's like, oh boy, what's happening here? We're talking concubines, and now we're going to an adults only resort.
These kids are about to grow up.
They are. They land and they're greeted by this gal who looks like, what, a fucking Pan Am flight attendant from the 60s or something? What that outfit?
You recognize her? It's
Oh, do we know her?
Oh, fuck. Yeah, I used to talk to her on Twitter. She was in the first season of Better Call Saul. She was the Kettlemans. the part of the Kettlemans.
Okay.
And before that, she was in the first season of Fargo.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, she always pops up and stuff. She's a pretty good actress.
Okay. And he introduces the kids as the wise elders from the brat trick system. I like the little brat comment there.
Yep.
And the kids are all decked out in these ridiculous like hooded robes and pirate costumes and shit. Well, one of them even has a fake beard. I think William's got a fake beard.
Cracked me up. Looks like a tiny wizard.
He was. And I do love 33's reaction when he walks up. He's like, "This is Skull Ridge Mountain? They ruined it."
Yeah. Yeah.
That was a great line. So they get a security check. Jod gets his blade taken away as he's getting a lei put on him and a tropical drink put in his hand.
And he takes a sip out of that. He doesn't have a problem with that.
No, he drinks the whole damn thing.
Who is it that notices there's a lightsaber on the pedestal, right?
Oh, you mean at the security where they were taking all the stuff away?
Yeah, didn't they take something when they took his knife and sat it down? Wasn't there something underneath it?
I didn't see that. I missed that.
I could have swore that's what I didn't go back and look, but I thought I was watching on my phone, so I could be wrong, small screen then, but I thought it was.
Okay, I didn't notice that. I didn't pause screen on that, unfortunately. He forcibly brings the blade back to himself, which will pay off later for him. Yes. And then 33 gets a restraining bolt put on him, which is very familiar. You know, we've seen that in obviously the original trilogy and stuff. Because apparently droids can get violent and they don't want to use them for violence. As they head inside, this gal gives them kind of the lay of the land, and this place is quite decadent. Has a huge variety of species running around.
Mm-hmm.
She shows them the rejuvenating mud baths. Again, dead people at the bottom.
You think this is all inclusive, or is this pay as you go?
I think this is all inclusive.
Yeah, okay.
I mean, it seems that way.
I don't know, because, I guess he was upgrading the room, wasn't he?
He was upgrading the room.
Yeah.
I like how she had that little spot. She kept sliding those credits under. Yeah. She tells Jod, because he's asking about why is there all this security. She says the banking clan is there for an economic summit, so security is kind of on high alert. And that's when he bribes her and tries to check in as Professor Gorlox. And that's when Pocket walks up. Now, she first recognizes him as Dash Zenton. So another name for Jod.
Is there a Dash Rendar? Right?
There's a Dash Rendar, and then, yes. So
from a video game or something, right?
Yeah, I think so. I think that's what that's from. So I'm not sure what species this is. Obviously, some sort of humanoid albino species with a thick Scottish accent. And it's funny because I watched and listened to her and thought, why is she so familiar? Do you know who that actress is?
It's Kelly MacDonald.
It's Diane from Trainspotting.
Oh, so I've never seen Trainspotting, but I think
you haven't?
She's what is she in? I think she was in Boardwalk Empire.
She was the voice of the gal in Brave and shit.
Yeah, yep.
Stuff like that.
I think she was in Boardwalk Empire as well.
I just always think of her as the schoolgirl that Ewan McGregor goes home with from the club in Trainspotting. If you've not, so there you go. We said before you got to watch True Romance. Now you got to watch Trainspotting.
Oh, I started watching True Romance.
Did you? Okay, good. Trainspotting is a tough film. Like it's pretty. It looks like
it's something that I'd be entertained by, but I've just never gotten to it.
It's very good. And the soundtrack's great.
Yeah.
There's some very dark scenes in that film. So
yeah, well, they're not healthy people, right?
No,
yeah,
no, they're all fucking high on heroin.
Yeah, they made a sequel, right? A few years back.
They did, and it didn't. I don't think it did as well, but it was actually pretty good.
Okay.
I thought it was a pretty good movie. I didn't think it was as good as the first, but it was a pretty good movie. Frankly. Right. So Pocket says that she's a bounty hunter for a private client now. I wonder who that might be.
Yeah, let's park on that for a second.
Sure.
Because why is she here if she doesn't strike me, well, I mean, she looks like she could probably, get into a good massage or two. But if the banking clan is there, it just doesn't seem like she's there just for relaxation.
Well, is she there working for the banking clan? Is she there working for the Hutt?
Mm-hmm. Or has Boba Fett changed what he's doing and now he's hiring people out?
Oh, so he's the private. That could be.
I'm just trying to link something.
Well, I like it because it's a weird little comment to drop for no reason.
It is.
And I like how she said, I haven't even. She said she's there for R&R. She goes, I haven't even checked the pucks.
Right.
I love that. Are you good?
I'm watching. Oh, maybe it's a blaster. Damn, I can't zoom in.
Oh, you're still trying to find the fucking thing.
Well, I found it. Go ahead.
Okay. All this goes down, and clearly it's not looking good for Jod and the kids. She even tells the kids, don't trust this Sleemo and all that kind of stuff.
Right.
And this is when he turns back to the gal at the check-in desk, and she's like, so what was that reservation again? That name? And he's like, here you go. It just gives her a fucking ton of credits.
My favorite thing is anytime they've ever ran into anybody, his name is different, and you're not to trust him.
Yes. Every single person the kids meet that he is, when they're with him, tells the kids, don't trust him.
Yep.
So they've been warned.
Mm-hmm.
And then when they get back to the room, Jod asks, if the lair is even there. And 33 says it's in the depths of the mountain. And he's like, how do we access it? He goes, I believe you access it through what they call the spa.
Yeah, the spa. It's a blaster, I believe, by the way. I went back and looked.
It is? Okay.
Yeah.
That makes more sense. Kids are being kids, bouncing on the bed. We've seen the scene before.
He fucking yells at him.
Oh, it's so great. He gets fucking losing his shit.
Tell me when you ever went on vacation with your parents, the first thing you didn't do was jump on the hotel bed.
Right. Or also tell me as a parent when your kids weren't doing shit like this and you're just like, would you guys just fucking shut up for a second? God. Yeah. He's getting so frustrated. It's great. Oh, he explains to them how we need to split into 2 teams and try to find the entrance to the lair. And KB says she can't go down there. And when Fern asks if she's worried about corrosion from the steam because of the headgear, or is she part droid?
Well, I think this is alluding to the health problem.
It is, I'm sure, but I'm also thinking, is she like part droid or something? Like, what is going on with her that she would have a corrosion issue with steam? Is that just her headgear or something else? And I like it because KB says, no, it's just gross is all, which I really appreciate because to me, hot springs and water parks, not interested.
Really?
No, because 1 minute you're fucking sitting there enjoying, the water, and the next minute you're like, got fucking used Band-Aids all over you and shit. They're the most disgusting places on earth. And I fucking
So you've
hate
never
them.
drank Bailey's from a shoe before?
I fucking hate water parks with a passion. I really do. Hot springs aren't much better. It's just the adult version, frankly. I don't like it. I don't like them. So KB, I gotcha. There's a lot of like frustrating dialogue for Jod, and then they finally agree to split up and search for the symbol showing the entrance to the lair. And some kids are going to go to the sensory gym. Well, he wants to send some kids to the sensory gymnasium. What do you think's in there? What's in the sensory gymnasium? That could be a new ride.
Only at an adult's resort.
Well, exactly. That's a good point.
Yeah.
Jod is trying to impress upon them that like time's of the essence here. There's pirates coming after us. By the way, that pocket gal we just met, she's probably calling in your bounty. So we got to fucking skedaddle here.
He was like, we got to get out of here.
Sure enough, she does call it in. And you see her on a holo call with Brutus saying she'd like to claim the bounty. And she sends him the coordinates and he sends in 2 ships. So we then get this great sequence where the crew is running around the spa looking for the lair, and we see all sorts of fun alien stuff. Like there's the hut in the pool trying to eat the waiter.
Did anybody figure out who the hut is? I figured the internet would have been all over this. Did you see anything?
Somebody talked about how it had like part of that like a tattoo bit, like
I
you
did
saw
see
in
that on
Podawan,
Twitter,
but it wasn't the same.
They were lined up, and but there were twins. So they only showed it was one of the twins, I think, from was that Kenobi? Boba. Yeah. And then it was the one that was in the spa. Those lip tattoos didn't match, but what about the other one?
I don't know.
Okay.
I don't think anybody figured that out. But you start thinking about it and you're like, there's a bunch of Muns. That's those banking clan guys with, the towels on their heads and stuff.
Yep.
You got Muns, you got huts. This place is kind of fishy.
Right.
There's a lot of no questions asked on who you are, what you do.
Well, as long as you've got money to spend, right?
Your money spends. Exactly.
Yep. Wait, go back. The little guy that's fucking running the waiter tray.
Yeah.
And he's bringing the hut the food, and he picks him up instead. He goes, "Oh no, not again!"
I know.
So
did you get
out before?
That's what I was thinking. Did you get out the last time? You got out of his mouth? Oh man, that plate of food looked good. I don't know why you picked the waiter.
Oh, it's funny.
And then I love how they show 33 carrying a bunch of towels, like really trying to fit into the part.
Yes. I'm telling you, this episode was hilarious. The first laugh I had was where he just gets up out of the ropes, just snaps the ropes and gets up.
Yeah.
I fucking rolled at that. And then there was, I think it might have been almost all him, but Jod had a couple of one-liners too.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, the one where they say, "Are you Professor whatever?" What do they say to him?
Professor... Well, it's Professor
from the planet
Gorlox.
of whatever, which is where the Muns are from.
It's where the Muns are. So he's insinuating like you don't look like a Mun, and he's like, "Yeah, run."
Like Scooby Doo. He just turns around and runs, leaves the fucking kids.
Oh, it's so great. Yeah, well, yeah. You see more Ithorians here. It's one of those episodes that is just ripe for people who like to do the background checks of what's going
is.
on. Because there are so many fucking creatures. Some people were saying there was some stuff like guys from Canto Bight and stuff that you saw there.
Yeah, I saw that. Was there a breakdown of the just before they were caught and they ran away on that cave wall? There was the inscription.
I've yet to see that breakdown.
Okay, all right.
I thought somebody would have read that and
it looked
broken
like
down what
the
it said.
same writing that was on in Ahsoka.
It kind of looked like it, and I don't know if it's just symbols representing people,
Okay,
so it's
that
not
could be.
necessarily words, or it's actual words. But I would have thought we would have got the full breakdown of what exactly that shit says. I never saw it.
I didn't see anything on Twitter.
Somebody out there probably did, and we just missed it. So Fern, Wim, and 33 find their way down into the grottos, where they find Renaud's symbol, and they encounter this massive, I don't know, like walrus-looking guy named Cephalops. I guess is how you say that. Cthallops. Cephalops. That's a tough one to get out. And he seems really hostile at first. He's huge and he's got fucking very long arms and appendages and stuff. But after they meet him, then we see Jod checking out those symbols, like you mentioned. And that's when security walks up. Like you said, they run, they go flying away. While they're being pursued, one of the security guards throws out Jod's full name, Jodwick Zank.
Yeah.
That's not a good name. I see why you just go by Jod.
So how do they have the real name?
They must have had...
Or is that the name that he wrote down when he signed into his room?
Oh, it could have been. I didn't think about how they would have got that name. I thought maybe they just did some sort of intel check on him and figured out that was another name that he was using. Yeah. So this is like his fifth name, maybe?
Yeah, because there's...
Silvo.
Yeah, there's Silvo. There's...
Dash.
What's the pirate's name?
Wasn't it Silvo?
Captain, no, the red, the one from the comic book.
Sorry, Crimson Jack.
Crimson Jack.
Yeah, so it's like 4 or 5 now that we've got him using. And it's funny because at one point when they yell at him, Silvo, later, you hear Fern go, another fake name.
Yes.
She's keeping track. So they get trapped, but KB pulls out a wrench and opens up the mud pipes, allowing them to get away. That exchange there was pretty funny. Step away from the wise elders. So silly. And then, 33 walks up and is like, come with me to the grottos. That's where they are. So they get down there, and Wim is telling the story of their adventures to Cephalops, who's just fucking eating it up, just loving every minute of it. Then he helps them out by smashing, using his tail or whatever, smashes through the stone where the symbol is, and then lowers them down into the lair. What a nice guy. Well, we see him again. Yeah. He was a nice, friendly guy. He did say, I don't think so. If you find what you're looking for, I'd love to hear about how your adventures end.
That's true.
Kind of cool. All the while, by the way, the pirate ships show up. And things go a bit differently for the escorts when they approach the pirate ships. Okay. This is a neutral planet, and if you just fucking boom. And then they land, and they show the gal in the flight attendant outfit. She is shook. She's like, "Oh fuck!"
But you think like Tower 1 or whatever would have been like, we just lost two ships escorting this. Like, get fucking security at the landing pad. Like, there was none of that.
Yeah, security is not great.
Right. Yeah.
It's almost window dressing.
Mm-hmm.
He tells them that to get to the lair, it's like a series of traps and mazes and stuff like that you have to get through. I mean, this is like full on. We've gone through the fireplace in the Fratelli's basement, right? And we're now making our way into
and the Fratellis are hot on our heels.
Exactly, same exact thing. Naturally, Neel steps on a trigger. Of course, it had to be Neel.
Sorry.
Yeah, oops. And they realize that Chester Copperpot's skeleton is there and he's been decapitated. So 33 and Jod realize it and duck. And luckily the kids are short enough it goes right over their heads.
I fucking love that. That's such a cool look.
This is very much like this Last Crusade, right? In Indiana Jones, where he, only the penitent man will pass and all that stuff, where he goes through and he has to kneel and like avoids the fucking razors that were decapitating all the guys.
Oh, okay, yeah.
Very similar to that. There were a lot of Indiana Jones vibes in this as well. So then they show a guard walk down a path. He's smart enough to trigger the thing. Right. The trap. He's like, oh. And then he looks up. He's like, oh, okay. And on his radio, you hear him saying, get up here. There's pirates attacking. And he turns around. He's like, relax. There's no boom. Gets fucking shot center mass. And then slung up into the fucking. Oh, that was pretty crazy. And you realize it's Urkel.
Urkel's a killer. Yeah.
Oh, Urkel's a fucking killer. And then he screams. That's when he screams, Silvo. That's how they know, oh shit, they're in pursuit. So they reach this room and 33 says that the lair should be directly below them.
Mm-hmm.
First, they think it's water that's covering the floor. But KB's like, I don't think that's water. And that's when 33 puts his foot in. Yeah, dips his toes in and finds out it's acid.
If he's worked for the captain before, you'd think this has been a booby set that was trapped prior, right? It was weird that he wasn't aware of this, like how to get through here.
True. Maybe he just never had to go through. Maybe these were set. He knows the booby traps were set, but maybe he never had to actually go through them himself. He was with the captain below.
That could be.
Perhaps.
Yeah.
I don't know. That's the only thing I can think of. So the inscription says, all who enter paradise must make this the greatest sacrifice. And of course they all think, oh, that means we got to sacrifice a life.
Right.
Sorry, Wim.
Is Wim's what you're going with?
No. Just throwing one out. But then Jod points out, Renaud is a killer. He doesn't give a fuck about life. He cares about money.
Money.
So they toss their last remaining credit in there. All the acid drains out. They're able to go down. Just then the fucking pirates show up and start shooting at him. So they close the door behind him. By the way, well, we'll talk about that in a second when he turns the fucking acid back on. Jesus Christ.
Man.
Yeah, we'll get to that. They turn around and you see this treasure room we saw in the trailers. And then so they are like kind of blown away by it and they're figuring out, okay, we got to find like a captain's log somewhere that's going to give us the coordinates. Just then, Wim goes over like he's going to grab some treasure. And Jod stops and goes, don't touch anything, which is very much like, again, the Goonies. Like, don't touch One-Eyed Willie's stash.
Yes.
Everything else is up for grabs kind of deal. Mm-hmm. But what does Wim find after that is a motherfucking lightsaber. Now, this looks like it's kind of got the vibe of maybe like a High Republic era. Yeah,
definitely.
Saber.
Yeah, it looks like some of the sabers you see on the covers of the new books.
Yeah, it's all gold encrusted and stuff.
Or even what are those the guards, the High Republic guards?
Oh, I can't remember. I know what you're talking about.
Fuck. What's in Rebels?
Oh, the Temple
Inquisitor.
guards?
The Inquisitor, when they show the flashback when he was one of those guards.
There's a Temple guard.
Temple guard, yes.
Right. Kind of like that. So Neel wisely notices that there is a piece of meat that looks fresh. He's like, this stands out. Because they're looking for something that stands out.
Oh, right. Okay. Yeah.
And he's like, this doesn't look right because why would this be fresh when everything else is rotten? He goes to lean in to touch it and leans on a fucking stool and the whole thing drops out below him. That was crazy. And then Jod's like, okay, I'll do it. So he does it, lifts it up, and it reveals this captain's log. And they find the coordinates for At Attin.
Yep.
Now we got where we need to go. So next episode, I'm sure they're going to go right to At Attin.
Why would the captain leave the coordinates to At Attin?
Well, maybe because he needed them for himself and it was just part of the log.
Oh, okay. Okay.
I guess
that makes sense. That's right. I guess what's weird then is the fact that was the first thing that popped up.
Well, I think it was because What's-His-Face was searching, remember? He was searching through the data port for stuff, and I think he just found it.
Okay. All right.
Because he sticks his little thing in there.
I didn't retain every second.
He sticks his little thing in there, and he finds because remember, he's going searching.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. Smee did.
Yeah, Smee, yeah.
He did the R2-D2 thing, right.
Right. And that's when that's when Jod tells him, so do you have controls of everything here? He's like, yeah. He goes, go ahead and refill that chamber with acid.
I know.
I mean, smart guy, but ruthless. That's pretty...
So did they all die?
Is Urkel dead? That's the question. Yeah. Is Urkel dead? Or did were the other people in the room and he was able to get out? We have no idea. Seems like
we've only seen the one pirate guy wasn't with them, the one from the Mandalorian, right?
What do you mean? Which guy?
The one that was part of Pizza the Hut's crew.
Oh, yes.
We've only seen him the one time.
Yes, we saw him in the second episode, yeah.
Okay.
This is where things take a turn. Jod asks 33. I don't know if I call him Smee or 33. They all call him 33, so I was calling him 33. He asks 33 if there's anything about the treasure in the log, and he shows him this broken up hollow of the captain talking. That's what we were talking about before. And about how the treasure on At Attin is actually an Old Republic mint. That's kind of disappointing.
Didn't we called that?
Yeah. Did you?
Didn't we in the first? Didn't we? We said it was like the Fort Knox.
Oh, you're right. Yep. Yeah. Oh. So it's just hey, we got a machine to make all the money. Again, it kind of ties a little bit into the Fratellis in Goonies because they had a fucking counterfeit machine in the basement of that place.
That's true. Now, so who are they printing money for? Or who do they think those are two different things now, right?
Well, right, because nobody's using those credits in the galaxy, but they're making them. So is that
as far as we know,
exchange?
there's never a cargo ship coming in.
No.
Yeah.
So where's that money going? Are they just like fucking stockpiling
I think they're minting it and they're storing it.
Yeah, I think that's what it has to be. Unless they're giving it, unless there's somebody who is part of their protection that they pay with those things, but you never see them used, and everybody's like, "What the fuck are these?"
Yeah.
So they're old shit. Granted, they're also useful for, buying a fucking milk at the cafeteria at school.
They are.
But they don't care because it's like fucking Monopoly money to them. This is where you see the demeanor in Jod shift because he starts pondering, oh shit, I can get this fucking mint. I can make as much money as I want.
Right.
And that's when Fern reminds him, hey, remember the plan, right? You got to get us home and you'll get some little reward for it. He turns around and has this nice long pause, looks at damn near every one of them in the eyes, and then goes, I'm invoking the right to challenge the captain per the code.
Oh.
And he tells Fern, and everybody's freaking out. And he tells Fern, just yield, that I want to fight you. I want it to hurt you. But she hesitates. And she, at one point, grabs a piece of fucking treasure and tries to hit him. Which I was like, hey, nice move.
How come if 33, like I see that you enact, but like when you do that, then you can't protect your captain?
No. He has to sit there and just watch. He's literally sitting there right over the shoulder, watching him put a knife to her throat. Yeah, I think it's the code. You got to follow the code.
No loyalty once the code is enacted, yeah.
Which would be so, I mean, I understand that that's legend and that's how that always seemed to play, but that is exhausting. Right. Anytime somebody wants to challenge, you got to fucking fight him. That is tough. You got to be one bad motherfucker. So she tries to hit him with a piece of treasure. He uses the force to block it. And then he pulls his dagger, puts it to her throat, and the kids are just all in shock. KB's crying, single tear rolling down the cheek. And Wim decides, well, fuck this. I'm just going to go get this goddamn saber. So he gets the saber out. Right before he ignites it, my younger son goes, isn't that upside down?
Oh, he called it.
He nailed it. Almost fucking cuts his own leg off.
Poor Wim, man. He finally has his moment to shine. Everything he's ever wanted.
Yeah.
And he does and no Jedi in history has ever bounced it off the ground upside down. Like, Jesus.
Well, I think he ignites it, almost cuts his leg off, and he kind of tosses it like, gah!
Yeah.
So she finally yields, Fern. And that's when 33 calls Jod the captain. And he removes his restraining bolt and says, take the kids prisoner for mutinous intent against their captain. I don't think this would stand up in a court of law because he was not the captain when they were being mutinous.
True.
So it wasn't until it was before.
Yeah.
33 goes to round up the kids, and that's when Wim thinks, oh shit, slaps the chair that they're all sitting on the trap door, drop through the trap door. Now, granted, they could be falling on a bunch of spikes, but...
Right. Like, why is that where you wanted to go?
It doesn't necessarily sound like a good idea.
Right.
Because, I mean, what do you think? 33 is not going to kill them, but what's he going to do there? Because, just to wrap up, when he does that, what's his face? Jod sees the saber, pulls the saber with the force, and ignites it.
And you hear it light. Yeah, it goes dark.
That's pretty cool.
Oh.
But it begs a lot in question about exactly what they were planning on doing there. Like, Jod's saying take them prisoner. Does that mean he's taking them with him?
I think so.
Or is he going to leave them there and just tie them up? You know what I mean?
No, because if he takes them prisoner, he can at least bring them back to At Attin.
But is he that we feel like he's still that good of a guy that he's still going to do what he promised?
I don't think he's a bad guy. I think he's worse than Han Solo though. I'm wondering if it's the same thing though, as where he owes a lot of money. Like there's a reason why he's looking for this large treasure, and we don't know any backstory on him. And also, remember when I made the joke a few weeks ago that he's Luke?
That he's Luke?
Yeah, the heir of the Empire. Like he's the clone.
Oh,
what if he is a clone?
You think he's a clone
of a Jedi?
Interesting. I never considered that. Clone of a Jedi. That you think they'd go that route?
I don't know. I think I think at some point, I'm trying to see, like, if this guy is going to, you're bringing Jude Law in, right? Mm-hmm. My guess is they're hoping this character is going to be someone that's going to stand the test of time and show up in other places. Maybe.
Okay.
Right?
And he's a clone in the sense that he has force sensitivity because he's a clone of a Jedi, but he hasn't been trained.
Right.
Okay.
Yeah. So he has those abilities and some of that knowledge, but now he's taken the pirate world.
Uh-huh.
I don't know. I'm just throwing something out there. I like that idea.
We need to write these down.
It's a good thing we're recording.
So that when one of the 47 ideas we throw out is right, we nailed it. I told you, Fort Knox.
Uh-huh.
Yeah, I was trying to figure out, like, how bad of a guy is he and how is he going to be redeemed? Because this was a turn that I think, I mean, this is the moment we thought was going to happen as far as Wim being disappointed by this guy who's kind of his idol, sort of his idol at this point.
Well, if he was really a bad guy, as much as he didn't want to be bothered, he wouldn't have sat down with Wim to give him some type of advice.
Yeah, that's true. He would have said fuck off.
Yeah. So
Yeah.
I think he's a decent person who's got a lot going on.
Unless he's just trying to get their trust.
Well, I think there's some of that at play too. That's why I think
Yeah.
this is a really interesting character.
Oh, it's very interesting. You don't know what to make of him.
Right.
Now, we know episode 7. So up next is episode 6. Episode 7 is where we're supposed to get more backstory on him.
Right.
So it'll fill in some of the blanks. I don't think we'll ever truly know all of his story. But at least give us an
is he
idea.
really giving the truth if he's telling the story?
Well, it depends on how that story is presented.
Very much from a certain point of skew.
For sure. And yeah, it just made me think. So what's going to happen now? Are they going to be, where are they going to end up? We don't know where they ended up with the trapdoor. Are they going to stow away on the ship to get back home with him? Like, how are they going to all get back on the same ship and leave there? Or are they going to end up having to go a different route?
Well, I'm guessing one of them leaves on the pirate ship and the other one leaves on the Onyx Cinder.
Oh, it takes one of the pirate ships. That's a good call.
Yeah.
So the kids would have to take the pirate ship. You know, Jod's taking that fucking Onyx Cinder.
Unless the kids
Get there first?
Yeah, right. But if the kids just fell down a trap, I'm guessing they're going to be a little bit longer getting out of there.
So maybe they separate. Maybe Jod makes his way to At Attin. They don't know how to get to At Attin, and they end up going to this other planet first. Because there's another planet they go to where there's that fucking crab guy, which has got to be the next episode, I would think.
Yeah, that's true.
So, yeah, how does that...
The crab guy wasn't... Oh, you're right. It is a crab guy.
It's a crab guy.
I haven't seen that trailer in so long. I was going to say, did he match the one guy that just helped him out?
And maybe Jod on his way to At Attin gets interrupted by something. Maybe somebody, something gets in his way of making it to the planet, perhaps.
Right.
But yeah, seeing them go two separate ways would be interesting. Then they don't meet up until episode 7 or 8.
Yeah.
I don't know. We talked about the pirate a little bit, but let's talk about it more. Do you think it's somebody we've seen already, or do you think it's that they don't want to show the person because when they do show them, then they want the reveal to be them? Like, for instance, if they go in and see the supervisor, and let's say that's actually a person, you don't want to instantly go, "Oh, that was the guy from the Hollow."
Right. No, that's exactly why they didn't show the face.
It wants to be a surprise.
Yes.
But you don't think it's anybody we've seen already, or do you?
Oh, I think it's someone we've seen. Otherwise, we would have known. Oh, yes, it's someone we've already seen.
You think so?
I think so.
I'm just struggling to figure out who that could be. I mean, it started out as it's got to be droids to it's probably the captain of the Onyx Cinder to who the fuck knows who it is. I mean, there's so many different options.
Well, here's the thing: is like if if they crash, someone survives when they crash on At Attin.
Mm-hmm.
What's the point of them staying there?
So wait, you're saying that the captain? What's the point of them staying there?
Well, if the captain died, but the concubine and the first anybody, like there was a survivor, let's say.
Well, and you wonder what the state of the world was when they crashed there. Was it exactly the community that we see now, or was it kind of in the early stages when they were still setting it up? I don't know. It could have been a long ass time ago.
So, yeah. So maybe it's one of the descendants of Neel's.
Well, there's certainly that was another thing I was going to mention. In that fucking treasure room, there's a huge gold statue of a Neel character.
Is that what that head was?
Not the head.
Okay.
There's a statue on the side. So if you go back and look at the scene when they're kind of starting to walk into it, there's a gold statue of a Neel species character.
Oh.
And Neel is in the goddamn mural.
Okay.
So
yeah. Well, and that would explain why in the one planet there was no head on the statue, and in the first episode there were Neel's people statues by one of the buildings that they went by.
Oh, there is one on At Attin?
Yep.
Oh, I guess I didn't notice that statue.
Yeah.
I don't know. There's it's a good show because we have all this shit to fucking guess and we have no idea.
Right. Well, that'd be really weird if it was Neel so nice and lovey,
and he's the killer.
Yeah. Or
it's his dad.
I guess he wouldn't be. Well,
or his mom.
His mom was the concubine.
His mom. She could do a lot of things with that trunk, man.
Because the captain, if that was the captain that was stabbed, if we're led to believe that's not a lie and that's the truth, that was a human.
Yes, right.
Yeah, right.
Who liked elephants.
So it would be the concubine or the first mate that survived, or someone else survived on that ship.
Yeah, I think you're right.
And then the dad did not look entirely too surprised to see a ship coming out of the ground. A little bit when he was like, "Hey, why is my kid crawling on that thing?"
His reaction was weird to the whole thing because he freaked out at the end, but he kind of took a long time for him to freak out. He was almost like he was watching, if something happened to somebody else's life,
Yeah.
It was bizarre. I don't know. You still think he's up to set? You still think he's?
I just think to me, like, it makes no sense to keep the parents involved. Like, to me, like, if you're writing a story the right way, everything's got to come full circle, right? There's got to be some big reveal at the end, more so than we know. I mean, we were kind of up at the beginning. There's some kind of treasure on the planet. What are they? That's not the big mystery, I don't think.
I just think it would be weird if Wendell was the first mate or whatever, and had zero power to do anything to get his kid back, because clearly he seems to want to get his kid back.
So maybe Wendell and the concubine, they had a kid, she died, and he's still living there, just living the life because it's a place he can raise his son. Doesn't want that whole life of, piracy.
But he just bought into this to the community. The ship is hidden. He just blends right in. Like, I'm just gonna act like I've been here the whole time.
Right. Which is odd, because how do you just show up on a planet and act like you've been there the whole time when they've got everything on you since birth and they've decided what you're going to be since 5th grade?
And they don't let anybody in.
Yeah. So I don't know.
It's hard to blend into society.
Right.
But he's got a particular set of skills, tech skills, that maybe he somehow managed to be like, I was on that other city on this huge planet that we never see.
But that would make sense for if there was a survivor, they took over as the supervisor, because no one knows who that is.
Right.
So that's the one place you can hide.
How much are they going to resolve in this season if they're thinking there's a plot for a second season? That's the other thing to think about. I'm not sure. Well, that was kind of it I had for speculation. Bryce Dallas Howard doing the next episode.
I know.
So that'll be fun.
Yep.
I just think it's got to be. Yeah, I think the more I think about it, I think you're right. I think they split up. I think one's on one ship, one's on the other, and they're on their own. Episode 6, maybe meet back up episode 7, something like that.
Yep.
All right. Well, we have a Maul Bag.
Ooh.
This is from Max Rebo. I hope you had a satisfactory holiday season of whichever denomination you subscribe. Thank you. I admit I was not expecting you two to record the last podcast on time. Oh. It's a fucking low blow.
All right.
So I missed the deadline for sending in an email. Sorry I let you down. So I was really enjoying Skeleton Crew for episodes 1 through 3. 4 left me flat like tech.
Ouch.
Prick. But episode 5 was really great. Easy 9.5 out of 10. Those aliens were awesome enough to make Mon turn her head.
Watch your mouth.
Did you notice when Jod Law punched the resort security guard, the sound effect sounded like Indiana Jones punching a Nazi?
I noticed that. Yep.
Yeah, the sound that is not in reality. Yes.
Yeah.
That is not what it sounds like when you hit somebody. The treasure room was another cool design. I tried to watch it frame by frame to see all the goodies. I'm sure you've covered it, but I'm pretty sure the courtyard statue on At Attin and the treasure room statue, both being Neel's species, and the fact that we didn't see Tak Renad's face are all foreshadowing the fact that Neel is the big bad. Dun, dun, dun.
That Neel is. Not his family, but
that
Neel
would be
himself.
An incredible long play by Neel. That would be amazing.
Well, the fact that he's such he's got beat up by his 3-year-old little brother. He's not a fighter. Then come to find out, like, the descendant is like this big badass.
Right. Secret. That would be quite the twist if Neel is the baddie.
But
hold on. Yeah.
We don't see the captain's face, but the captain is dead on this ship.
Yeah.
So it can't be the captain.
That's the supervisor?
Well, it can't either the hologram or the dead captain on the ship. One of them is not the real captain.
Oh, because they would have they would have died in the crash.
Right.
Well, but he's making that statement about the mint being on At Attin. Maybe he just knew that that's where it was and he hadn't gone yet when he recorded that holo.
Right, but the Tak Renad's face is foreshadowing. He's saying, right? So it's hidden in shadow. Mm-hmm. So if Tak survived and is living on the planet, then the captain that's dead in the ship is not the captain.
But what I'm saying is that recording that we saw did not necessarily have to happen after he made it to At Attin. Maybe he figured out what the treasure was before he got there and just knew what he was going for.
No, I completely agree that hologram was recorded before the crash landing.
Yeah.
But if they're hiding the face of the captain, and we know the captain died on the ship, there's no point in hiding the face for a big reveal.
I see what you're saying. I gotcha.
Yeah.
So that's not the captain. I get you. Or that's not the person that was dead on the ship. Yes.
Right.
Maybe he staged it.
Which means Jod might have more to do with this. Like, maybe he's trying to get back to the planet.
Oh, I see what you're saying.
Right? Because how does he know all of this? How does he know the captain died on the ship? Like, how does that myth get out? Like, you could say that the ship went for the treasure, because wasn't there an original story was like it was lost or something, never to be heard from again, something like that. But like the fact that now that this myth doesn't make sense. There's someone is lying.
Oh, for sure someone's lying.
Yeah.
But I mean, it's also like again, to go back to Goonies, it's like when Mikey's telling the story of One-Eyed Willie, and they're like, well, how does anybody know this story if everybody's dead, if he killed all of his crew? And he said, I asked my dad the same question. One of the guys must have got out.
Yes. Yeah.
So who's the guy who got out?
Yep.
Okay. I think we've answered all the questions.
I think so. We've made more too.
All right. That's it.
All right. Thank you so much for listening. We'll see you next week. Till next time.
Laugh it up, fuzzballs.
We, the only podcast you need to listen to, have spoken.